How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie, and we are two crazy cousins, because I now have to say that every time. And this is our podcast, and today we are talking about moving and remodeling, because let's move to like a little funner subject.
I think that's not the first time that Connie says she's over her saying. We're going to have to find her a new saying.
I'll change it up next time.
We started off with the idea of two funny cousins, but crazy cousins just went together because it's two C's, and yeah, funny cousins just never transferred over.
Well, maybe next time. But see, I'm the funny one, so it's actually a funny cousin.
Hey, I'm funny.
Burn!
She's being mean to me, guys.
Anytime, really.
Ask anybody who knows me. They think I'm funny, so.
Yeah, and so basically...
See, she's ignoring it now.
I'm moving on because I cannot confirm nor deny. Anyway, so basically what got us thinking about this is, I just got gutters installed, which is the next step into my home remodel. And I know a family member is going to be moving, and I was helping them move, and it got me thinking about all of this type of shenanigans.
And like we always talk about on our podcast, we talk about shit that everybody deals with and how to deal with it. So here we are.
Exactly. So let's start with moving.
Okay.
Because moving gets you into a remodel, because then you move into your house. What do you have to do? Remodel it.
Yes. If you don't buy a turnkey house, as they say, then yes, you would potentially need to
Which,
remodel.
as the Property Brothers have taught us, they're always out of my price range.
Anyway, so Connie will, of course, will give you more of the civilian side of moving. Not that I can't do that too, because Lord knows when we were in college, we did a lot of moving as well. And then I can also give a little more of the military side of moving, the perks, the pros and cons, all the fun stuff. So I guess we're going to start with where to start.
Well, and see, that's what our family members having trouble with, because they've lived in this house for how long? 15 years at minimum. So they have now accumulated a lot of stuff. And so every time I talked to the relative, our aunt, and I ask her, like, oh, do you need help? She's like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. They have all the boxes. They've started giving away some stuff, but they know that they're not going to be able to take everything with them when they move, because they're not just moving down the street, they're moving states away.
Right.
And I told her to just start with the stuff in the bedrooms that you use the least and move forward.
That's all you can really do. And I guess really the starting point is getting the boxes, and then just picking a place to start where you're not living the most, maybe even like a guest bedroom or the garage, and start, this is what's going and this is what's being donated or being thrown away or being given away.
Yeah.
So you have a section of what you're taking and what you're not taking, basically.
Yep, and getting the stuff that you are not taking out of the house as quickly as possible, preferably. Because then it just kind of would, I think she has a full bed of stuff that she's giving away, and then it becomes, okay, wait, what did I go through already? Because you're pulling everything out of closets and stuff, so.
Yeah. And she's got a lot of clothes and shoes and stuff, so that's when you decide to, especially because they're going to a warmer climate, well, I don't need this whole stack of sweaters. Maybe one of my sisters or my nieces or somebody can have them, or you can give them to the Salvation Army or whatever.
Yeah, she gave me a sweater dress, actually.
Ooh, I can't wait to see it.
Anyway, and then they also had to do repairs around the house. So that's another portion of moving and even getting ready to sell your house.
Yes.
Is making sure that it's up to the standards where you're going to get a good price for it. Because when you've been there for 15, 20 years, things start to fall in like disrepair, and they didn't want to fix it until they were ready to move.
Yeah. That, or if you're moving but you don't own the house, then to make sure that you get your security deposit back or whatever it may be, you still want to make
have to do that.
Yeah, you still want to make sure you clean, and if you had stuff on the walls, you fill the holes and all that lovely stuff.
I remember having to do that in college.
Yeah. I had a really crappy landlord at one point in college, but she thought she could get one over on me, but it did not go so well for her.
Oh, what happened? Tell us more, Rietta.
I moved in, and it was pretty much in pretty good shape, except for the top of the toilet, like the little lid that goes on top of the toilet was broken. It was like half and not a solid piece. And then when the carpet ran into the hardwood floor, there was a gap. And the gap had the nails, there's the little carpet nails sticking through.
Oh my God.
And they just left it like that. That's all well and good. I can step over it, but I had my dog Bubby, and the dog certainly does not know to step over it.
No, not at all.
So I called them and I was like, hey, this is kind of a big deal. The dog doesn't know to step over it. And she wasn't going to come out and fix it. So then my response was, you are not getting the first month's rent until you come fix it. And she did not like that, because I'm sure most college kids are probably just like, whatever. Well, not this college kid. I was like, you want your money, you will come fix this. It's not something that's not really important. If somebody steps on that, it's really going to effing hurt.
And that property could be sued. You could be sued. Say a friend came over and stepped on it.
Yeah.
You could sue the property.
It was just going to be bad. If the dog ended up stepping on it, he could get an infection. There would be blood everywhere. It was just, and it was so easy. It took, her husband was the fixer guy. Yeah, there you go, maintenance guy. So, I mean, he literally came over and it took him 10 minutes to fix it. And then he tried to come over and he's like, you really shouldn't threaten my wife. And I was like, no, your wife really shouldn't fuck with me.
Oh!
She tried to send him over to scare me or intimidate me. And I was like, no. I have the money in this situation. And he's like, no, she could have evicted you. I'm like, good luck with that. I would have sued the pants off of both of you.
Yeah, because you sign a contract.
I told her I was more than happy to give her money once she fixed the carpet, which should have been fixed before I ever stepped foot in it.
Yeah.
I'm a no-nonsense person, and I was not dealing with that. And then when she tried to have her husband threaten me, I was like, no, honey. No. So then when I moved out, the last month's rent that I sent her I took out my own security deposit. I was like,
because you knew you were never going to get it back. I knew
she was going to take it. So I was like, I already took out my own security. Don't worry, it'll be clean, because that's the kind of person I am. Thank you. See you later.
I love it.
She was not happy, but tough tutus.
What is she going to do? Bring you to small claims court?
And anytime you watch any of those small claims courts, 99% of the time, the landlords lose. So she could sue me all she wants. But the main point of that story was, don't take anything laying down, and make sure you clean up your shit before you move.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, it also reminded me of how difficult moving can be, because I remember us moving from basically two separate households into our household was such a pain, because I had furniture that I wanted to take from my mom's house, furniture that I got from college. I had a rolling counter, stuff like that. We were splitting up vehicles, my vehicle and his vehicle, and like going to my mom's house, going to his mom's house. And we basically did everything with my SUV and a minivan. And we only had to rent a truck for, I think it was just, Tom had his toolbox. Yeah, bigger tool stuff, because, I mean, clothes, I have an SUV. We stacked up my SUV. And same with this minivan we borrowed from my husband's ex-coworker.
He was kind of the opposite for Kyle and I. He was a new Marine. He really didn't have much of anything. I don't even think he had a vehicle, now that I think about it. I'm pretty sure he didn't. So he didn't really have much of anything. I was pretty much bringing everything. I was coming from Illinois all the way to California. Luckily, and I don't even really want to say luckily, because that sounds terrible, but my grandma on the other side had just passed away, and she had left me a lot of furniture. So I ended up with a couch and a dining room table and the other side of the family, your mom's ex-husband's grandparents. There we go. That's kind of complicated. I got some dishes from them, so kind of lucked out, and I got a bunch of stuff. Plus, the college stuff. I had college stuff left over too. So it was kind of me bringing everything. Yeah.
Or else he'd be sleeping on a mattress on the floor. But it was when I met Tom.
Well, he lived in the barracks. That they do provide him with a place to live, but so because he had a place to live that was provided, he didn't have anything, Yeah, and when you go to boot camp, all they bring is their clothes, basically. Mm-hmm. And he didn't even have a lot of civilian clothes. I remember I had to buy him clothes because he didn't really have a lot.
I think that's just a girl thing, though, because I had to do the same for Tom, and he is a civilian, but all of his shirts had holes in them, and you have one shitty polo. It's time to get you some clothes, some button-down shirts,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kyle was the same way.
It's time to become a man and go from T-shirts to actual shirts.
Yes, exactly. So that kind of works into what we were going to talk about anyway, whether you should purge or not when you're moving. And obviously Kyle and Tom didn't really have a whole lot to purge, but Connie and I, or if we move now that we're together one household, if we moved, purging would be more of an option.
Well, and that also gets into the remodeling kind of, because I think actually throughout the move and the remodel, I ended up getting rid of and giving away a lot of stuff. There was I had a rack that goes above the toilet from college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to save room.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we really didn't need it at this house. And Tom hates them. He thinks they're so rickety. They don't really stay clean very well. What, are you going to put towels on that right where you are flushing the toilet? No, gross. So I ended up giving that Luke and Audrey have. I ended up getting rid of, I had that rolling counter, and after we remodeled the kitchen, I gave that to his brother, and they kind of use it as like a bar.
Oh, cool.
Because we don't need that. I have a bar. But yeah, so there was a lot of purging and giving away. And then even now with our aunt and uncle moving away, they're giving me my stuff from my grandparents. I'm getting a piano, my grandparents' piano, and I already have, it's in my crawl space, Christmas Village. That was my grandmother's. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I always love having family stuff around.
Yes. Well, and the Christmas Village, though, I am going to have to cut down because it's 3 boxes.
Oh my goodness.
2 churches, a couple of wood. I don't know. There's a lot. I have to go through this and get rid of the duplicates. 1 box of Christmas Village stuff is okay.
Yeah, and maybe see if your brothers want some, or.
And then if not, it's going to go into a garage sale.
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was actually just thinking that is a great way to purge. Our grandmother used to have a garage sale every single year.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely used to. And because there were so many of us, we always had a lot to contribute between all the aunts and uncles and cousins and everything. There was always plenty to contribute. And she had a house that was right on the corner of a main street. So we got a lot of traffic. So that's another way you can purge. It is a lot of work, but it can be rewarding if you can make some cash off of it.
My mom is going to be having one sometime this summer. I have to help her set that all up. I have dresses from homecoming and stuff that clearly I'm not wearing now as an adult.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, let's sell them at Poshmark or whatever. And I just want to tell her it's almost a waste of time. I remember like having some really nice Calvin Klein stuff that I just didn't want anymore. Some really nice designer name shirts and dresses that just didn't fit me anymore. And I tried selling them and it just wasn't worth what I could get for them.
Yeah, plus you have to pay for shipping then too.
You're supposed to calculate the shipping into the price of the.
I've never used it, so I don't know.
And I think there are also some where you don't have to pay for shipping.
Oh.
That it's just you signed up for a service, and this service gives you the shipping, and then and they take 35 cents or something away from your shipped purchase. That's why I wanted to tell Mom, it's really not worth it. It takes a long time. I think I gave up on it long before I even got an offer. And I think one of the offers was a few dollars. And I was like, it's not even worth me shipping it to you.
Right.
And you could get the same few dollars from a garage sale.
Right. And then you don't have to ship it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I don't have to do anything. And this is too few of items to bother keeping in my small house. I might as well just bring it over down the street to Goodwill.
Right.
The end.
Right. And be done with it.
Yep.
Yeah. And we had to do a lot of purging, which I've kind of barely talked about before we came to Hawaii, just because military, they have a weight limit. So we had to come into the weight limit. The lucky thing is our cars don't count towards the weight limit, and all his military gear doesn't count. But we had a whole indoor gym. So, I mean, you think about that just alone. We had 800 pounds worth of weights, plus the bench, plus the barbell, plus the squat rack. So that was stuff, even though we didn't want to, we all had to purge because the moving company wouldn't take it. They also have it in their contract that they won't take stuff like that because I think they worry about their movers and the liability because it's heavy. We had to purge all that. And then, of course, I personally just like to purge when we move because I feel like it's the perfect time. You know, you're packing everything up. You're like, oh, I don't use this. Why take it with me to another state? Just get rid of it. And one of the pros about moving with the military is they pack everything for me. Literally, they come, they grab my china, that nice thick paper, they put it nicely in a box, they put bubble wrap around it, they do it all. So it kind of gives me more the chance to just kind of watch them with my side eye and purge other stuff while they're packing everything else up. And I can be like, no, don't pack this, and just either give it away or throw it away. I usually don't throw it away. Usually I give it away. Or a lot of times in the military, because we have such a big community, we do what's called curb alerts, and I just put it out on the curb, and usually it's gone in 10 seconds. Somebody drives by and comes and picks it up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's the same thing with a remodel and moving in general for me, because that's exactly what happened. As we were putting away things after the remodel, I swear I got a whole car's worth of stuff that I got rid of. Because you just realize I didn't miss this. Clearly don't need it.
Yeah, and Kyle did a lot of the packing when we went from California to Hawaii because I moved home. So then even still on this end, when everything showed up and I was unpacking, I was still purging because, you know, he didn't want to throw anything away that he didn't know about, you know, stuff that was mine that he's like, oh, I'm not sure if I should throw this away or not. So I even did some purging even on this end as we were unpacking and just never brought it into the house.
Well, that's a kind of a waste of space, though.
It is kind of a waste, but luckily we don't pay for it. The moving is all paid for by the military, so
yeah,
it's kind of whatever. I get why Kyle didn't do it. No, he didn't want to accidentally throw something away that I would be like, hey, what happened to this? And he's like, I don't know.
My precious, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's funny, though. The moving companies, sometimes they pack the garbage, and you're like, why didn't you throw the garbage in the garbage can? Why did you pack it?
Did that really happen?
Yes, but I think they're worried that if they throw something away that you're going to come at them and be like, what happened to this?
What happened to my garbage? Give it back.
I know, it's so weird. And they do some weird stuff. I was going through boxes and there was literally a knife wrapped in paper. End of the knife was sticking out and they wrote sharp on it with Sharpie.
Well, okay. It's one way to live your life.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess at least they're trying to point it out that it's sharp and not to stab yourself.
They tried. Yeah, and I was actually thinking, because, I mean, we're not moving this year. Probably not even next year, but maybe the following. Like, it'll be sometime next year to the following. So 21 or 22 will probably be moving. Mm-hmm. And I was even thinking about, I'm like, we should just hire movers for all of the big stuff. They don't have to wrap up my china or anything like that. But I really don't feel Tom or I should have to or want to move the big stuff. I know we could do it. I just remember how much time we spent moving, and it took a full weekend, including cleaning. And I'm
a lot of work.
It might be just worth it just to get a moving company. And also, I didn't have any help. It was just me and Tom doing everything. My mom and Joe went over to my brother's house and helped them do everything.
It's harder, too, when you're doing it yourself, because obviously when everything showed up here in Hawaii, I did everything myself.
Yeah,
I mean,
because you have to. You don't have a choice.
You're right. They took all the boxes and everything off the truck, of course, and they were semi-helpful. They would ask me, like, where should I put this? So they put boxes in rooms where I told them, like, leave that in the garage, put that upstairs in the bedroom. They did
a little bit more helpful.
Yeah, they did do some stuff, and they did, if they took it apart on the other end, if they took it apart in California, they had to put it together here. So
that's very nice.
They put together the master bed, the guest bed, my kitchen table. So it was a decent amount of help, but I did everything else by myself. Which is hard. It's hard, which is one of the things that Connie and I were going to talk about, is how to handle the stress and just everything that comes with moving, because Lord knows it's not easy.
Yeah, I just kind of grin and bear it.
Yeah.
That's like my middle, like that's really all you can do, because it has to get done.
Try to get help if you can, ask your girlfriends, ask your brothers, ask.
Oh yeah, I tried to get help. They just suck, and my little brother's more important than me. Just kidding.
That's a bummer.
No, I think my mom was somewhere doing something. I don't care. And then I had a day planned for moving, but we couldn't get a moving truck. We originally were going to have a moving truck and put everything in there.
Yeah, and drive it over.
Yeah, and there was a problem with getting a moving truck. I can't remember why, but we could not get one. I don't know why. It was insane. We had to wait for the following weekend, and all we were moving was Tom's heavy stuff.
Yeah. See, and that's hard too, when things don't go according to plan and you have to change it around, which is happening to a lot of people, at least in the military right now, that are trying to PCS, which stands for permanent change of duty station. That's when they move us. With the COVID situation going on, it's making moving even more complicated, because for a while there were stop orders, but then they could only do it for so long because people had already moved out of their house and they're left in this weird limbo.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, especially here on island. And we only get so much TLA, which TLA is transitional living assistance, where they basically pay for you to be in a hotel or whatever until you figure out where you're going. But they only give you so much. So I feel bad for the people PCSing right now, because it's even harder.
Oh, I'm sure. Oof. And also think about it. For COVID anyway, how could you even have people packing up your stuff? That's probably against the rules, or maybe they just have to wear gloves. I don't know.
They were wearing masks. One of my neighbors just moved, and I saw the moving company, and I feel it's 90 degrees here. So they're 90 degrees in masks and gloves running in and out of the house, which is ridiculous. I would be like, y'all, I won't tell any of you. Just take the fucking masks off. But that's just me personally.
Exactly. It is stressful. Actually, I preferred getting all of my stuff just done within a weekend, because I cannot stand the boxes, and I want to be able to just sit down and watch a movie and not think of all the things I needed to get done. So I prefer just getting it over with. Okay, it's packed. We're getting into the house and we're getting this set up. I'm done.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way too, because even when our stuff showed up here in Hawaii, Kyle was like, just relax, do whatever. You've got a month until I'm there. And I'm like, I am not looking at these boxes for a month.
No, yeah, I would be the same way.
It just feels like chaos. It feels like you're living in chaos.
That's how I feel when I have laundry baskets that are full. That's like just sitting there. Like, ooh, they need to not be in my way.
I had to laugh at Kyle the other night. He's like, I'm going to do laundry. And I was like, sweet. Puts it in the washer. Nothing else happens. I was like, oh, so I'm doing laundry.
That has happened on both my side and Tom's. I have done it to Tom, and Tom has done it to me.
It's just kind of funny. I'm sure he just forgot about it, but it was just funny
Yeah.
because I went up there and I was like, "Welp, guess I'm doing laundry. Into the dryer it goes."
Whoops. Yep.
That was another thing we had to purge. Well, we didn't have to. This house came with a washer and dryer, and we had our own washer and dryer in our last house. So that was something else that we got rid of, was our washer and dryer. We purged. I was going to have one of our aunts hang on to it, but I feel like it's just really bad for our wash machine to sit there for 3 years and not be used.
Why didn't you just leave the washer and dryer in the house?
It didn't come with the house, and we basically would just be leaving it, and then they would get it for free. And
And you were like, no, I'm getting money for it.
we had nice LG washer and dryer. I mean, I got like $600 for the set.
Yeah, so you're like,
So,
no.
no. I mean, I could have, and the people that moved in would have been like, hell yeah. But, mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if like if the military, if you would have left it, if they would have like reimbursed you for leaving the washer and dryer or something.
And what the military might have even done is just thrown them out. If I left them in the house, they might have just thrown them out. Yeah, it's really sad. I had a beautiful garden in the front of my house. I had rose bushes and hibiscus plants and all these beautiful flowers, azaleas. When you move out, housing is supposed to reset the property of like how it looked when you moved in. So they pull all that out and throw it out and reset it. I know. I told my neighbors, I'm like, please go get my plants. Please rescue my plants.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
They were like, okay, we'll keep these for you. And I'm sure they're not keeping them for you, but like they just took them and planted them in their yard.
Yeah, and planted them in their yard. I mean, I had 3 beautiful rose bushes. You guys got to save them. I would have taken them with me, but there's no way I can't bring them.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
And I told my mom I would bring them, but she's like, I have no luck with rose bushes. And the hibiscus, one of my hibiscus, she had brought to me from Illinois because it wasn't doing anything. And the moment I planted it in the ground in California, it tripled in size. So she's like, yeah, don't bring that back.
Yeah, it didn't. Illinois was not good for it.
It did not like it here.
That's crazy that they do that.
No, it's amazing how much they waste. Why wouldn't you just leave it? If the people that moved in didn't like it and wanted to pull it out, that's one thing. But for housing, just to pull it out and throw it away, it's just so wasteful.
Especially for some plants.
And they look nice. Why would you do that?
Yeah, you know what, though? I do wish somebody would have been able to do that to our house. But that's only because I had a crazy gardener lady.
I was going to say, your bush in front was interesting.
That bush, let me tell you guys. So not only did this house have to be, this brings us to our second point, remodeled on the inside, it also needs a lot of love on the outside. And I am sure the family that lived and built this house before us, because it was the same family, they lived there all their lives. They were children in this house, and then their parents passed away and they lived in this house. Mm-hmm. I am sure they loved this house and thought it was great. But what they did was they planted different seasonal plants on top of each other. So that bush out front in the spring had tulips. Then it was peonies. Then the peonies would die and some other bush grew out of the peonies. I don't understand it. That's what happened. And that same type of pattern was all throughout our backyard. And they planted things so close to the fence so that these flowers and plants would grow in and around the fence. So now we have branches that are weaved within the fence. It just looks horrible, but we've finally gotten it, back together. But I was like, why? Why did you plant 3 different types of plants on top of each other? No, it does not look good. It's not a good look. It's an overgrown look is what it is.
Yeah, that's an interesting. They made their own hybrid bush.
Yeah. And there was I believe an oak or maple tree right in the corner of our property, which is fine. We've actually kept it, but they had it growing like a bush instead of a tree. It was more round than tall. And I even told Tom that this year, we have to trim it again because it's still kind of growing rounder and not taller like a tree should grow.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that brings us to remodeling. And it was fun. We remodeled pretty much the whole house. It was a 1950s house. They had the old style. If you go to a hotel and you see that there's a sink outside the bathroom, yeah, that's what we had. We had a window in the bathroom. Now we have a skylight instead. We took out the window. Everything is super modern and wood floors and pretty. We took out a full wall and had an open kitchen and open concept first floor. And we did wood floors and stuff, and it was great. Yeah, it's expensive. We did most of the work ourselves. We have probably spent about 40 to 50K on all of this. And I don't think you'd be able to get a regular contractor to do all of that work, because that also includes a full new HVAC system, a full new electrical panel. It was a lot of work. And I don't think you could be able to do that without doing most of the work yourself. That is what it is. And then I do have like a few tips, I suppose. There are some things that you get at like Home Depot or Lowe's, I suppose. Haha, that rhymed.
It rhyme. I was just going to say that.
And then Menards. Menards is great for it was great for all the like electrical, the tiles, stuff like that. Especially with the 11% off. We got our railing from Menards. A lot of stuff that goes inside the walls, the insulation, stuff like that. It's just such a better deal especially when they have the 11% off. We got back so much money. And then you're in a kind of a cycle, because you buy stuff that you need for X project with the 11% off. You send it in and you get money for the next project.
There you go.
So you're not getting necessarily a ton of money. It's only 11% back, but it's still, it was
still something.
And then like Home Depot, we got some of the more like substantial things from. We got our wood flooring from Home Depot. We got our cabinetry from Home Depot. And we got all of our carpet installed from Home Depot because they install it. And I'm sure, like, I know, I know now that I thought I was going to say that some friends of ours got flooring from Menards, but actually it was Sam's Club, so sorry. You could find deals anywhere, honestly, but.
Yeah, I don't know where. I think my mom and dad got flooring from Menards, but I'm not sure.
But and you totally can.
But my dad installed it himself.
Yeah, and so did Tom.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it just didn't match any our color scheme. None of the wood, actual real hardwood at Menards matched what our color scheme was. We could only find one, and it only happened to be at Home Depot, and so that's how it worked.
Well, there you go. You got to do what works.
And we were lucky because we had a lot of guidance. My mom complained, so she had her house built. And she complained that she didn't know what to do tile-wise. Picking out the backsplash for the bathrooms and stuff like that she really didn't know what she was doing, and she needed more assistance with that. And we were lucky that we kind of had an idea of what we wanted the look to be, and we had my uncle's guidance.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources now than there used to be. If you think about it, like,
very true.
If you think about it, Pinterest has everything. I mean, you could do your wedding wishes on Pinterest. You could do your remodel. You could do whatever. And granted, it doesn't tell you where to buy it, but it can at least give you inspiration, of what you would want it to look like.
And we knew we were going for a very clean, modern look. And that's exactly what our house looks like.
I feel like, too, you just need to go and look, and that's why a lot of these places have the little samples, so you can lay them all next to each other and see if it's going to match or if you like the way it looks together.
Yeah, and my mom just didn't, because I think she was looking for like accent tile in the bathroom, and the tile on the floor is such a dark green, and she was looking for something to match it, and it was just something that's hard to find that matches, finding a dark green tile, at least at the time.
Yeah, you probably have to go to one of those giant tile places where all they have is tile.
Yeah, something like that. And she wasn't doing that.
We're looking at houses, and we're trying to get as close to turnkey as we can. Like Connie said, within our budget, of course, because we are moving. We're already moving all the way from Hawaii to potentially all the way to the East Coast. So we're already making a very huge jump. The last thing either of us really want to worry about is doing any remodel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to find something that we both like, at least has one thing on our must-have list, and then we'll have, my parents will probably go look at it for us to make sure that it really looks like it does in the pictures.
Yeah. And I'm sure your dad would be really helpful looking and making sure that everything's okay, if that makes any sense. Like, there are things that you just can't tell from the photos. Some things I can tell now after doing a remodel. Like, I can tell if it's real granite countertops or not.
Yeah.
I can tell that now just from buying my own granite countertops. I can tell in the post photo most of the time, because they do have some great faux countertops that look pretty real, but it's like a specific shine. That's beside the point. And I can also tell when it's real hardwood and when it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And the other advantage too is we'll be doing it with a VA home loan. And the nice thing about the VA is they have to pass an extra inspection. So you pretty much can't get a lemon. Like, you can't find out later that the foundation is cracked or the plumbing is crap. Like, they're going to make sure that we're not going to basically get a lemon in house terms.
Nice. That's what we're looking forward to in the next house, is not having a remodel. I'm okay if it's not as modern as my house is currently, or if I would want something maybe a little bit different down the road. As long as it's in a relatively nice condition, I'm okay with it. Because all of the houses in our price range, I still would never have to do the amount of remodeling we had to do for this house, because this house was remodeled inside and out. Everything inside the walls was redone. And that's a crazy level of remodel. And all of the houses we're looking at right now are much newer, much cleaner, close to turnkey, but they're not necessarily, it's not necessarily something I would have picked out.
Right.
Or it's just boring and it needs paint. You know what I mean? Like, it's not crazy difficult stuff. Or there's just like, I'd get like a new vanity for a bathroom down the line. It's stuff like that can wait.
Yeah. I know one thing when we look at houses, if I find a house that has a crap ton of wallpaper, that's like a no-go for me, because taking down wallpaper is a giant pain in the ass.
Yep.
It sucks so much. And
I don't mind painting.
Oh, no. I will paint all day long. And my mom is actually really good at painting. She's a really good, knows how to like do the texturing and everything. So I'm totally fine with painting, but I am not messing around with some wallpaper.
Oh, yeah. It's a bitch.
It's the worst. It is. I don't know why people think. I mean, I know why it used to be a good idea, but I don't know why anybody still has it.
I think now it can be fine in a room with one wall. That's really common now. That one like special wall with wallpaper. But other than that, yeah, it's just a pain.
No, we literally looked at a house the other day that pretty much every room had wallpaper in. And I was like, no. I'm not messing with that.
I mean, if you found a house that you really, really liked and it had a lot of wallpaper, then you just hire a company to do it for you. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's true. If I did absolutely love a house and that was the only thing, then yeah, maybe I would still do it and I would hire somebody to take it down, because I certainly wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. I also laugh at houses that you can see online where some of them just have like these ginormous, it's not necessarily a small room, but you either have like really, really outdated and hilarious furniture or really, really huge furniture. I laugh at that. But I can see past that. Like, I can see how big the room is. I'm just like, you just have really weird 70s couches. Well, okay.
Yeah, it's probably just an older couple that just is still happy with what they have. The only other point that I wanted to make, just from somebody who has moved a lot, not that Connie hasn't moved a lot because she has too, you will be less stressed if you stay organized. When we came to Hawaii, I can't tell you the number of horror stories that people were telling me, like, oh, it's terrible, it's the worst PCS, you're going to have the worst time, it's a big pain in the ass. Honestly, it was not that bad, but that's because I had one of those accordion file folders with all my paperwork in it, and I stay organized, and I stayed ahead of everything. So try your best to stay organized. It'll keep your stress levels low, and you won't be like wanting to pull your hair out.
Well, I mean, and for you and military in general, it's a lot different than a civilian moving. And I wasn't even moving really all that far.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
there really wasn't very much for me to keep organized because all we were doing was going from one house, taking the 15-minute drive to our new house, unloading and packing it all up and starting all over again. Didn't really have a lot of, like, documentation that I needed to keep track of.
When you're just obviously when you're doing a smaller move, or not even saying that's a smaller move, but when you're staying in the same state and you're not really moving anywhere, then obviously, yeah, you don't have as much to worry about. But our aunt now that's moving a couple states south, it gets a little more complicated.
Sure.
You can't look at, I mean, you're going back and forth and looking at the houses. You're deciding what to take with you and not to take with you. Connie even mentioned earlier, you don't want to start taking stuff out, put it back away, and then be like, wait, what did I already go through? You know, you could at least just have a notebook where you write down, like, went through this drawer already. You know, just something simple so you don't forget what you already went through.
Or label the piles as well. Like, I'd be putting a sheet of paper on piles. I feel like our next move, that will be more complicated, more stuff. You know, especially because I work from home, so I have to make sure that all of my work stuff is good to go, and so, you know, it's a little, we definitely have a lot more stuff.
I feel like our move from Hawaii back to the States is going to be more complicated too, because now we have 2 vehicles, because we had lost the vehicle before we came here. So now we have 2 vehicles, and this is the biggest house we've ever had. So we have a lot more stuff. So I feel like our move is going to be more complicated from here but I'm just going to stay organized and just make sure I write down what I'm doing. And
you'll still have to worry about the weight limit as well, right?
Yes, we do still have to worry about the weight limit. I actually think we ended up over worrying about the weight limit on our way out here because we ended up being like 5,000 pounds under. So.
Oh, really? So then you're really not too concerned.
No, we shouldn't be too bad. The only thing that we have that is really heavy is our Tempur-Pedic mattress. That thing is a beast. But other than that, even our couches are not that heavy, so I think we'll be all right. The nice thing is they weigh it beforehand, and if it's over, you can request a reweigh, and a lot of times because they don't want to reweigh it, they just are like, okay, you're under, and they don't make you pay the fee. So
oh, nice.
There's ways to get around it sometimes, but I'm not going to worry about it right now.
If you were 5,000 under, you'll probably be okay. And again, you're probably going to purchase some more stuff.
Yeah, I probably will.
Because for me, it's actually become more of a seasonal thing, honestly.
Yeah, and we had a lot of the bigger stuff anyway. Like, I had all 3 beds, so I already had all the beds. The only thing we didn't have was the couches, but they don't really weigh anything.
Yeah, you'll probably be fine.
I think we'll be fine. I left a lot of stuff in Chicago, too. You know, I left, like I was saying about our aunt that's moving, I left all my winter stuff at my parents' house. They're in tubs at my parents' house.
Yeah, you're not going to need that in Hawaii, I don't think.
And I would have had
Call me crazy.
No. And I would have had to fly with it because that, you know, our stuff was already here when I left Chicago, and I already had, Jesus, what did we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 3 plastic containers, 3 suitcases, and the dog. So I already had plenty. That's what I had to take on the airplane with.
Jesus. On the airplane, or did you check it?
Well, I checked it, but I still had to get it into the airport, which was interesting.
Oh, I'm sure. That sounds like you need a couple of those carts.
Yeah, I did, because my dad helped me the best he could. Luckily, it was early in the morning, so my dad was able to park, which you're not usually able to do, but he was kind of able to, like, park and help me scoot stuff into the check-in area.
Yeah, that's like my favorite time for flying is morning.
Yeah, it was 4 a.m. It was super early.
I love an early morning flight. Call me crazy, but I do. I like early morning flights because everything is just so much less busy. You get through the airport, you get to your spot so much quicker.
I do like that part, but I find when I have to get up early, I don't sleep as well at night because you're like worried about waking up on time. And yeah, because we had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a long day, especially since we lost 5 hours.
Oh yeah. Oof. And then you'll have to do it again in a year.
It'll probably be harder going that way because Well, I guess maybe not because I'd be gaining hours, but it's still going to be weird. You're still going to be all like messed up because it's going to be 6 hours different. Yeah.
I just don't like the airport when it's all like crowded.
I just don't like flying, period. But we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, gotta get it done.
All right. Connie's good at our crap. What's the word I want to use? Synopsis. Summary. There you go. Connie's good at the summary, so we'll let Connie sum it up what we kind of chatted about.
Okay. So, purge your shit before you move, first of all.
There you go.
And stay organized. And remodeling is difficult, but is also a great time to get rid of stuff. And Menards is great for 11%, and Home Depot is good for other essential things for a remodel.
So if you want to sponsor us, hit us up.
Yeah, exactly. Home Depot, Menards, and I believe I also talked about Stitch Fix.
And Lowe's.
Garage sale. Yeah, and Lowe's. So, any one of those can hit us up. Moving is a challenge no matter where you are moving to, but you can do it. And so are remodels, and it is very difficult to do.
Perfect. See, she's the summary queen. The only other thing I'm going to add just for my fellow military spouses, because it's something that I just started doing, I offer a course called No Stress PCS. So if you need help moving and you want to be less stressed and you want more time, I offer a course that you basically have me in your back pocket to help you do whatever you need to do. It is on my website, The Get Through Guru. So if you need help, hit me up.
The end.
The end. There was my shameless plug.
I love it. I love all of the plugs.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Rietta.
I'm Connie.
And thank you for listening.